there's a misconception that freedom like hides a lot of stuff, and that's just not true. You guys have been very forthright, like, hey, like this might be sucky news, but like this is where we're at, or this is what's happening. But then you guys give an explanation as to why.
This is the Solar Disruption Theory.
Welcome back to the Solar Disruption Theory podcast. My name is Chad Towner, and with us today, all the way from Houston, Texas, we've got Chase Armstrong, one of the best sales leaders. They call him the King of the South. I don't know where you got that nickname, but Chase, thanks for joining. How you doing, man?
Dude, doing good.
I love the hat. I'm a huge BYU fan.
Yes, sir.
Were you born and raised, or are you just adopted into the Cougar culture?
Oh, born and raised. Yeah, I grew up 20 minutes up the road from BYU. So we had season tickets my whole life. And I literally, this is how big of a BYU fan I am. My kids, we have college accounts for both of them. And you can set stipulations on like when they can get the money, how they use it. They can use it for any university but the University of Utah. That's a real.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah. So
well, I'm a huge Cougar fan, but I'm more of a Utah troll than I am a BYU fan. So every year
I see your Facebook posts every year.
Yeah. I've toned it down a little bit over the years. Recently, I'm just focused on other things. But yeah, it's a good time. The Bronco Mendenhall era is finally I think we're finally out of that, and we're actually starting to have fun again and see some good sports going on. So
it's a good time to be a fan.
Yeah,
it's a good
terrible time to be a Utah fan. Just lost Whittingham, and we just lost our defensive coordinator also, which stinks. But
speaking of Bronco, whisperings, he might be the DC.
Stop.
I'm just going off what's on Cougar Board.
I'm not,
you just put it out there.
We're gonna have to pause this. We're gonna have to film this another day. I don't think I can emotionally do this podcast with what I just heard. He may not be the world's worst defensive coordinator. I didn't love the head coaching, but he's a really good guy. So I think, I don't know.
Good guy. He's a football coach. He doesn't have to be a bishop. That was my thought.
Yeah. Good point. Well, hey, we're here to talk about solar.
Yes.
Is solar the first thing you sold door to door, or no?
No. So if you want to go way back, I started selling lawn care door to door when I was 14. So
no way.
Yeah,
I love it.
My old man I was like 14, maybe 15, and he's like, "Hey, when you turn 16, like, do you want a car?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Here, come in the garage." And my daddy comes from like a mechanics, construction background, so I'm thinking he's gonna have some old beater. We're gonna fix it up. And he's walked me to the garage and pointed at the lawnmower. And he's like, "You can use that, and you can buy a car if you make enough money with it." So
you're kidding.
No, so that's that's when I first started knocking doors, and then I did a mission, for Church of Jesus Christ Latter-day Saints. Did that for a couple of years. So I met Brandon Wilson.
Yep.
And then sold Vivint for a few years when I got back.
Alarms?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep, did alarms. Actually out here in Fresno.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, Fresno and Bakersfield. And then got into solar right after that. It's like 6 years ago. So.
Dude, what a cool dad. Man,
yeah.
I've got a 14-year-old now, and I'm like trying to come up with ways to, get him to work and, make him hungry.
Yeah.
And I don't own a lawnmower, so I might have to loan him some money to buy a lawnmower. I love that. Like that's, I feel like there's a generation gap now we grew up having to kind of like earn everything.
Oh yeah.
And my parents said that, I had it easy, and my grandparents said that they had it easy. Like progressively, I think it just gets easier, but we're at a point now where my kids are, if I don't like come up with ways for them to do work, there's just nothing for them to do. It's a little.
You're pampering them, is what you're saying.
Well, I try not to, but like it's just everything is so convenient.
Oh yeah.
When they saw their first commercial on TV, they were like, "Dad, what is this? What is happening? Why did my show get cut for this weird ad?" And I was like, "That's a commercial, son." And because they're just used to on-demand, Netflix, whatever, Disney Plus, everything's just.
That's so weird to think about. We were like having to time the bathroom break to like, okay, commercials on. We got like
I know.
2 minutes.
I know. The episode's over and, you missed it.
Exactly.
So, well, like speaking of kind of growing up and dealing with some of that adversity, 2025, we saw our fair share of it.
Yeah.
I just did another episode with Mitch Ford, who also is one of our top sales leaders, and we went through a lot of the pain that 25 had, but I really wanted to have you in here because I think your experience is unique, right? I mean, how long have you been with Freedom Forever? So you got into solar, or you were in alarms. You did the alarms with Vivint, and then were we the first solar experience that you had once you met Brandon? You came over, and that was your first solar sale.
Yeah. October of 2020. We just put all. Brandon was like, dude. Because we were selling alarms, and I was going to be done just with sales. My wife's a nurse, and it was kind of weird with COVID. It's hard to find jobs, weirdly enough. But I was like, yeah, I'll go. I had a job actually lined up to do insurance sales, health insurance sales in Utah. I was going to work for, I think it was called Go Health, and make a little salary and do that. And then Brand's like, dude, you got to come out here. There's guys making money that they have no business making selling solar. And so I went out there for 1 week, and I was like, I remember getting home, and I was like, I won't name names, but some guys that used to work with Brandon and I out in Houston. I was like, these guys made that much. I went home
to compare, and
I was like,
if he can make that much,
exactly. So we just sent it. We just looking back, it was kind of crazy, but I hadn't even onboarded for solar, and we bought a house, moved out there, and I was like, I hope I can actually make this work because I've never even tried to sell solar, but Brandon was convincing enough. It seemed legit, and that's here we
awesome.
are.
So that was over 5 years ago now.
Yeah.
And a lot's happened, right? So I think everybody kind of knows the history of Freedom over the last couple of years, but in 2025 specifically, you had a unique kind of path, right? Yeah. And so maybe break down what was going on. Like I think we all know that 2025 was crazy. The whole world kind of got turned upside down in May when the big beautiful bill left the House Ways and Means Committee. Oh, yeah. And I think those effects are still kind of lingering. There's still some aftermath, but things got really, really uncertain. That was the word that Brett kept using, right? Is like, if there's no certainty, finance companies, just investors in general, they need certainty. They need to know what the rules are. Even if the rules are bad, they'd rather know what the rules are than have this uncertainty. And so until we had that, everything just kind of froze. What was your experience like during all of that?
So I think, like, especially in a leadership position, I feel like you just got to kind of like put on a brave face. Like, it's going to be good. Like, even though it's like we're going in blind, because like you said, it was kind of uncharted territory. And over 5 years, I mean, especially like when we first started in Houston, I remember it was kind of like the gold rush after we had that huge freeze out there. Yeah. But then Freedom kind of went through with like, crap, we got all these sales. We don't have the ops, And so like that was one kind of hurdle.
You guys
like it was
crushed it that summer.
It was a lot, and I think it was more than any of us thought we would do, right? So we made through that. So I think like it was easy to be like, hey, the only consistent thing in solar is that there's going to be hiccups, there's going to be change. But yeah, I think like, you get to a point where sometimes no matter how long you've done this job, it's kind of funny, like on the sales side of it is like, you think like, man, are there still going to be people that like want to buy solar? Or it's like, yeah. And I think it's easy to maybe when things are going tough or aren't working how you want them to, it's easy to let outside noise kind of get in. And I think like that was something that personally I kind of experienced was like, man, like, is the grass maybe greener, right? Like, is there something else that's going to be better out there, And yeah, it's easy to let that stuff creep in, I
think it's natural, right? Like, they've been talking about the fight or flight sense or responses for centuries, right? In us as humans. And so when things get hard, I think naturally the first thing we like to do is like figure out whose fault it is.
Yeah, right.
That's like what I've noticed. Like everyone has to just pause everything and figure out who can we at least blame. That's the most important thing. Yep. when something goes bad. But there is this moment where people have to, and maybe it's not conscious, but they have to kind of come to this decision of like, am I going to fight through this, or am I going to start, looking at some other thing to get away from this pain or this adversity, right? And I think in sometimes the right move is to fight, and other times the right move is to look elsewhere, right? And not just in work, but just in general. This is just why we have this natural response. It's like, should I fight or should I leave? And so, you seems like you kind of went through that same experience, and you started to, a lot of noise. Everyone's saying all sorts of stuff on social media or whatever. And more often than not, it's like not true, or they'll take a sliver of truth and explode it into this crazy thing. But, if as a sales rep too, especially, it feels like, how are they supposed to know what's true and what's not,
Yeah.
And it's very easily manipulated. If you're not in every single phone call and if you're not on the White House or in the Capitol building listening to these debates, like, how do we know what's going to happen with the bill? And it was all just kind of this crazy rumors. So what ended up happening? What'd you do?
Yeah. So I ended up leaving Freedom for a few months. And it was a super hard decision. Like, I remember reaching out to you and to, Brett, and had a lot of long conversation with Brandon, Brandon Wilson. Him and I are, best friends. We go back like 10 years, right?
Yeah.
And that's one thing I'll say, like, having left like a company before, like when I left Alarms and came, solar, the experience I had, like, I was terrified to like kind of approach everybody and be like, hey, like, I'm going to try something different. Cause when I did that, what was that, 6 years ago, I was like chastised out the door and like had money taken from me, had just like ridiculed, like, you're going to fail. Like, it was like zero support. Right. Whereas, here I was like, man, we were battery timelines seemed like they were a little slow, seemed like, door-to-door douchebag on Instagram was posting a lot of stuff that was like, man, like, if there's smoke, there's got to be fire. Is that, like you said, like kind of blowing things out of proportion. And so I ended up going to a company that a couple of my buddies actually, just kind of like a mom and pop type of operation.
Yeah.
And it was, the cool thing about it was like, when I left, you were nothing but supportive. Brett left me an awesome message. That's like, I see all sorts of people trolling him, and this, not to like glaze him too much, but like, he's got thousands of reps and all sorts of other stuff. And he called me, like, left me a personal voicemail, wished me, my wife, my kids, like, the best of luck type of thing. So it was cool because it like left the door open.
Yeah.
So I go to this company, and then I just realized, like, very quickly, one, solar's not dead. Like, I was having success, but two, like, everywhere has issues.
Yeah.
Like, there's not a golden goose, right? Like, and it was one of those operations where it's like a broker, like a dealer. We had like 5-6 different installers, and one of them, it's like, I had a 6-day install, but then literally a 4-month PTO, and another one, like, they stepped through my customer ceiling, and another one, it was like, oh, we can't get permits for 2 months. And it's like, you realize really quickly, okay, this is just solar. Like any hiccups that we had with Freedom, like, oh, batteries are taking a little bit longer, or maybe there was like, accidental, payment mix up, or our commissions came a day late, like one time, and it gets blown. You know what I'm saying? It's like, stuff happens everywhere. And that was very apparent, like, very quickly.
We've put our feet through a couple of roofs over the years.
It happens.
It happens. I mean, this is construction. This is custom construction. And so, not that it's an excuse, like, we are always trying to improve and get better. And I believe we can. And like, one of the things that I've looked at over after, reflecting on 2025, there's a lot of areas we have made some major improvements, and streamlining and just getting smarter and more intelligent with how we process projects and how the pipeline works. And like, there's a lot that we've already made improvements on that I don't think we would have done if we didn't go through a lot of this in 2025. At the same time, there's a lot that we can still get better at, and we're just always hungry. What Brett would say is like, he would say we're like a 6 out of 10. and don't, we don't want to just sit back and feel good about ourselves just because we believe most other companies are like a 3 or 4. And I would say we're, with the changes we've made recently, I believe that those changes have already brought us to a 7. But like still, we can get to a 9.5, 9.9, whatever. At the end of the day, there's always still going to be like, this is custom construction. So never going to be perfect, but yeah. So you came to this realization that like some of this is just solar.
Yep.
Right. And I meant it. I didn't just send you a text because like, oh, hey, I hope you come back one day, so I'm going to be nice to you.
Yeah.
I meant it. Like, you were an awesome partner. You gave us several years of volume and support and leadership, and you sent a lot of sales and installs our way, a lot of good customers. You did things the right way. And so like I think that's something that's missing in our industry is, for whatever reason, people want to, if they're going to have a breakup, it's got to be this bad blood, violent divorce.
Like, we can't be friends. We can't
It's
talk.
just like, why can't we just kind of part ways amicably?
Yeah.
So it was just, refreshing the way that you went about things. And so, we were stoked to hear. I was so happy to hear. I didn't find out until after you had already come back. It was like a week later, and somebody just mentioned it on a call, and I was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Chase is back? How come nobody told me, And so like, tell me a little bit more about that. I know, you did this thing with your friends, and I don't want you to bash anything or anybody, because like I said, everybody's just trying to do the best they can. But what was it that kind of helped you realize, okay, other people have problems too, but that's not enough to, make a change back, and, because you're in a career phase now, like you're making great money, you have a big team, and what would cause you to, like, what were the things that kind of caused you to say, hey, I should start looking at maybe coming back?
Well, I think like there's definitely, what's the best way to put it? There's levels like to every industry. And I think you realize very quickly, like, it might be easy sometimes being like at Freedom, specifically like at Solar Pros, where there's a ton of volume. I feel like the highest, like caliber of reps, just as far as that goes, to be like, oh man, like I may not get recognized. I'm getting lost in the wash. And then you go to, a smaller operation, and all of a sudden it's kind of like, wait, where's the competition? Like, where's the getting pushed? And not to, again, like, and the guys I worked with, like I said, they're good guys, and that, they had a good thing going, but it was just, there's a big difference from like a local operation to a national operation. And I really appreciated that. But then also, like, I think sales reps are very, I feel like I've made my living on being very like detail oriented with this job. Right. And I like doing all the sales resource center and the back end stuff. And like a lot of reps are just like, just tell me what button to click type of thing.
Yeah.
When you work for like a smaller operation or something that doesn't have the funding or investment that Freedom's put into like Lightspeed, dude, that's such a headache. Like, you have 10 different logins for everything. And that might sound really dumb, but when you're in a house and I got 5 different installers that are offering Good Leap, and I got different red lines with each one, but I got to see which one's going to get, but I got different adders with each one. I can't just like compare it in Aurora across the board.
Right.
I got, okay, log out, log back in, log out, man. Like open a private tab, try to like type in, like, and it's just trying to have all these things pulled up. And again, that might sound like dumb, but anybody who sat in the house like knows what I'm talking about.
Big deal.
Yeah. So it was like, so that was one of the first things, like in the first few homes, like, oh, this is like just kind of clunky. Or even things like you take for granted, scheduling a site survey or something like that, doing it yourself. It's like, we had to fill out it's like a Google survey form. And then we had to text a group chat, like for an installer, and then just hope that whoever's on the other side of that has their phone on them so we can schedule that like site survey.
Yeah.
Just stuff like that. Not having like a CRM to check all the projects. So that was like the first thing, is like, man, this is just a lot more, not headache, but just like a lot more hassle than I was used to. And I was like, kind of the things you take for granted, having like a big system that does it all. But then also I think it's just that, I mean, again, like coming back to the leadership, just realizing like, again, the guys I worked with were good guys, but it's like knowing that, I mean, heaven forbid something maybe happens to like me or my family, or there's slow times, like knowing that there's just like the backing financially, but also like emotionally, just culturally, to be able to like be like, hey man, like we got you type of thing.
Yeah.
Where it's like that's hard to feel when it's just like a smaller
hard to
operation.
do.
You know what I'm saying? Or guys that you just haven't invested that much time with, you know? And so it's just a combination of the culture, the level of caliber of reps, and then just the lack of tools or CRMs that we didn't have over there.
Yeah. And I think that is normal in most cases across the country, like,
Yep.
right. To like, most companies that have multiple installers, even if they have their own CRM, they have, to streamline all these different logins and manage and navigate that. I can't even imagine. Like solar's hard enough. It's complicated enough. And then to try and pipeline your projects and you're like, oh wait, which login do I need to log into to see this customer and help them with their issue or whatever? Like I couldn't even imagine, and I was a dealer 10 years ago. And similarly, like we were scheduling site surveys using this Google Calendar form, and it was great for like 10 people. But it's hard to have this big motivation and high level of competition. There's just a buzz that comes with being part of this big, machine, and we're all kind of like rowing in this direction. So yeah, totally see that. So now, like, when did you come back to Freedom?
So I came back, I mean, a couple months ago. I think it was like beginning of October. I think when I came back. Yeah. Cause I left kind of like right in the like middle of summer. It was like July, I think.
Yeah.
Kind of put out my transfer portal post.
Yeah.
Right. And then, there was, like I said, it only took a few months. And like I said, that's something too, like I mentioned, like the things that were, missing, but like it did, I don't want to say restore my faith, but it did show me, okay, even at a smaller operation where, one of the other things was like, okay, if it's a smaller dealer and there is a limited number of this like domestic content we can get, like obviously that's going to go to the big players first. Right. Which like, we'll just call it how it is. It's going to go to Freedom or it's going to go to Sunrun. Like if we just want to like, so I was like, okay. So like that was first thing, but it did make me realize, okay, I'm still getting sales. People still want to buy the product. They want to buy it at like, I'm selling it at a higher price because I have to. So then when it's like, okay, I can come back to Freedom. My customers can get a payment that's $40, $50 a month cheaper, literally. And I can make the same amount of money or more, which is how like it's been. Like at that point, then it's just a matter of, I mean, I look at it as like ethics, because it's like, not to say people who are doing it the other way are unethical, but it's like knowing what I knew before. Like if I can put somebody in a better situation and still make a phenomenal living, like I'm not gashing my earnings. Like why would I not?
Yeah.
So it was very hard for me, I think, doing that for 5 years, then being like, wait, I feel like I'm like price gouging people just to like make decent money, and they're happy. I'm making sure they won't have a light bill, like trying to hook them up, but I can be saving them so much more if I was doing it back over here.
Because of the shared revenue model with the baseline versus the fixed red lines.
Oh yeah, 100%. It's like, it just, I mean, you want to get in the weeds with, if we want to start pricing everybody like way higher than we should, it's like, okay, like a red line model is going to make more, but you're really not helping your customer, right?
Yeah.
And I've always loved that model of Freedom where it's like, hey, we're going to try to be the lowest price solar to drive all the, other people out of business, drive the market down. And like, that just resonated well with me. Like as a homeowner who has solar myself, like I have family members, like my next door neighbors, my front and back door neighbors all got solar from me, and knowing like I save them way more money than I'm saving at this, like it's just hard to do. It's hard to do.
Yeah, no, it's one of the things I still don't fully understand why nobody has adopted the shared revenue baseline model. Like it's clearly such a superior way to sell solar and to grow a company. Like there's a lot of reasons why we've been able to grow, but this is definitely one of them. Like it fosters growth when the rep can go to the customer and offer a lower price, make the same commission, give the customer a better deal. Like it's that simple, yet nobody out there is copying it. And like, we don't have a patent on it. We've been talking about it since I joined in 2019. And, people still love to do the fixed red line model. I think it's more predictable for the installer, right? They have a fixed margin, and then for the sales company, they do. I think the real answer is they do want to sell high, and so they can make more commission. Whereas our model, it penalizes you if you sell too high to the customer.
Yeah.
But if you give the customer a fair price, or even a really low price, you would make more here because of the way the math works out. So for us, it's all about alignment, but I'm just shocked that nobody's tried to copy it.
Yeah. And honestly, I think it's like, again, I think it goes to the lack of tools other places might have. Cause if you think it's like the metric system versus what do we call it? The imperial system? Is that what it's called here? Where basically you got everything's in 10 cents, right? Versus like on a rev share, then it's like, okay, you got to do like a little bit more math like that. Yeah. And honestly, I think that's like the difference because like that's, I guess, a pro that a Redline has is yes, the math is easier to calculate. But as far as stuff that I feel like you hear, it's like, oh, there's stuff hidden in the rev share. It's like, okay, well, to point out a manager at a company with a Redline, I promise you, like, there's levels there too that probably every rep doesn't know about. Like it's not, you know what I'm saying? So it's just, I don't know why it hasn't been adopted. And I don't know, I think people too, they'll be like, oh, well over here, man, like you can sell a job at a 3.8 and you're selling it over there at a 2.8, but it's like, well, let's compare it side by side. Like we're probably still making the same amount of money.
Yeah.
Right. Just my customer's getting like a 14-cent price and yours getting like a 23-cent price. Like that's crazy. So
crazy. The only thing I disagree with on all that is I'm a big metric guy.
Okay.
I'm a fan. I feel like we should adopt the metric system.
I agree. It'd be easier. I'm just saying that's a good comparison.
It's a good analogy.
A good comparison.
As long as the metric one is the baseline of that comparison.
Yeah. Yes.
Just kidding. All right. So you grew up in Utah. You moved down to Texas. Mm-hmm. You live in Houston.
Yep.
What's your plan going forward now? Like, what do you want to accomplish? What do you want to do in this new world? Now that I think you have a unique perspective, like a unique lens, because you've kind of you haven't seen all sides. Like nobody's seen all sides. You got to work for every company out there to see it all, but you've seen enough. What do you want to do going forward?
Honestly, man, like I'm excited to just get back to like focusing on selling. Cause it's when I started, right? Like, I feel like, you pay your dues. It's just knocking doors all day, every day. And like, something that I still tried to do as I moved up into management, but I built teams, ended up running a region, right? Like me and Tanner Sorensen ran one of the top regions, like in all of Solar Pros and Freedom while we were there. And then I had a unique position working, with the Alpha division as like the divisional trainer, kind of working with all of Brandon's group, but just knowing the ins and outs of everything before I left. And then coming back, it's kind of like, it almost feels like a reset where it's like, I'm excited to sell again. Cause I really do believe like not just blowing smoke, but like it does feel like solar is exciting again where like, we were, before we started this, we were kind of talking right about how 2023, 2024 kind of seemed like the peak. And then last year was really weird, but it does feel like, between things that have rolled out just in the industry, as far as financiers, maybe like I know Enfin's EPCs just got better, right? Like, I don't know when this is going out, but I mean, that's a good sign that, hey, like money is flowing back into solar, like Freedom's coming out with a lot, newer products, like the Aura product is awesome. Like excited for that to like get released in Texas. Like, it just seems like there's a lot of exciting ways to maximize earnings. So like moving forward, I mean, it's, I'm married. I got a couple kids. Like, we're going to ride the solar wave, like, as far as like staying down in Texas and working it, but at least the next couple of years, like, I mean, I guess keep myself accountable. I want to put it out there. Like I've done really well. I've never hit 100 installs in a year. I've hit 90, right? Like I've gotten close. Like that's, if you're gonna say like immediate goal, put a number on it. Like I want to go throw in 100 installs this year and want to be somebody who can just kind of contribute to kind of rebuilding the group. I feel like Houston and our group kind of disbanded a little bit. Guys got scared, some of us, and it just kind of seems like a good reset of like the industry and like our group as a whole, and some of the exciting things bringing the groups together, like at Freedom and stuff. So, kind of a long answer, but
no, that's good. There's a lot of positive momentum, right? And one of the things that because when the bill finally got signed and it was what it was, even even like it was a huge relief, right? It was like, oh man, we can survive this. But even after we saw that it was not going to be as bad as we thought it was going to be, it's still bad for solar. Like there's still a sunset on the tax credits, and obviously the 25D went away on December 31st. But there was this faction of people, I don't know where you sat with this or where you were, but some people, a lot of people still felt like solar was basically dead, and the Big Beautiful Bill killed it. There's only like 1 or 2 years left.
Yep.
And I don't think they fully understood or understand how it works, but even still, like, I just keep going back to my core beliefs of, number one, electricity is not getting cheaper, it's getting more expensive. Number two, demand is not going down, it's going up, and it's going up exponentially with our own electrification of our lifestyles, plus the whole AI race. And so people are tired of hearing me say this, but like, it is so basic and simple. It is supply and demand. We need more electricity. There is no cheaper, faster, better way to put more power onto the grid than with PV and storage. There just isn't. And so, and the fact that utility prices are doing this, and solar prices are still getting cheaper and cheaper to install. Like, how does this not win out long term?
Yeah.
And I think people we're still just in this new industry still. I know it sounds crazy. It's been around for almost 20 years, but like, at least the PPA concept and what we know of rooftop solar today, but it's still got a long way to go to be an established, mature industry. And there's so much opportunity between now and that point. And I just like hang on to those things. And I know those things because the hype around solar and renewables, it will come back around. Like, it has to.
Oh yeah. Well, and I mean, you said it, just like all the, I don't know if cliche is the right word, but it's like AI and just everything, like EVs, like all that stuff is advancing so much. I think, like, I literally read an article yesterday in Houston, Apple's building a massive AI facility. Like, they just announced it, like multiple billions of dollars, right? So, I mean, this is like just to the Houston market that'll affect, but it's not like that's only happening there.
Yeah.
There's stuff like that happening all across the country. And I think I've heard since 2020, hey man, we only got a couple years left of the solar thing, right? Like previous sales leaders that we had, like, hey, we only got a couple more years. It's going to be like cell phones. And maybe it was easier for me to be like, I don't know if I buy that, because like I sold door-to-door alarms at the height of COVID right before I came to solar. I was like, and that company still, I'm like, okay, if I could do that, and that's not, solar's not near as adopted as like a smart home.
Right.
I mean, I don't think we're anywhere close. Like, I think there's always going to be changes, but I just think because of the uniqueness of everybody's needs, the uniqueness of like each market as a whole, it is not uniform. Like, we see even like homes, like, again, it's not mandated in Texas like it is in California, but like homes are being built solar ready.
Yep.
Like they're like, builders already putting it in, no contracts with other solar providers, just like, yeah, we're going to build this home solar ready, meaning we're making space for like a battery and an inverter, like a little notch in your garage to like put it in.
It's awesome.
Like, but that's just happening everywhere, So it's like, I think we're, like you said, getting closer to a lot more excitement and adoption, as opposed to like, weeding it out and tapering off.
Yeah. And, Brett this is one of his frustrations he's always talked about, is like this mindset of it being a gold rush. Why do people look at it like a gold rush when, like, and even if you want to make that comparison, gold's still valuable today. Yeah. Right? Like,
I
they
had
use
a
that
customer
term.
tell me it's up like 100% this year.
I know my dad won't stop talking to me about.
I should have put my money in that instead of Bitcoin, apparently.
But like, I think they use it because there was this like quick euphoria to going and mining gold, right? But gold is incredibly, it's way more valuable today on a per ounce basis than it was in 1849. And so, like, electricity, it seems like it's just inevitable. It's inevitable. And so whether you think it's a gold rush or not for the sales rep, I'm seeing the opposite. I'm seeing solar becoming more complex. Customers still don't understand. I mean, we're still less than 5% adoption in the US. So they still don't understand how their bill works, how solar works, how they're paying, how they're getting charged by the utility, and then all these other charges on top of it, and then how net metering would work if they got solar. Not to mention storage, right? And so like there is so much complexity. I used to be one of the guys that made the cell phone analogy. And maybe one day we'll get there, but there's a lot that needs to happen because like, you know, cell phones are simple. It's like I pay for minutes and I pay for data. Solar is not simple, and there's all these different rate structures and billing plans and everything else. You need somebody to sit in their kitchen, walk them through it. Like you cannot AI solar sales, at least not right now. And I don't see a near-term solution to that because of, you know, you got to fully educate the customer. Like the sale in the home, you've sold a lot more solar than I have recently. And like, you're just in there explaining to them how it works. I mean, you're not really even selling anything to them.
Yeah. It's when I think like every customer's situation is going to be different just based off the simple factor of how much power are you using? Which way does your, roof face? Like, oh, well, you don't want panels on the front of your house now, so I got to do something. And it's like, I keep using Texas because that's where I've sold 90% of my jobs. But even down there in a deregulated market where we have a bunch of different programs we can offer, right? Like you're not someone who can just pick up, go, and it's a one size fits all. But I think it's happening like that in a lot of markets where there is more like case by case needed. Like, do we have to do a battery that's going to be a full home backup? Are we just doing one of the non-backup battery options for you? Are you somebody I'm just going to help get daytime solar and set the expectations you'll have to like be paying a little bit of bill at night? Like there's a lot of responsibility I feel like as sales reps now to know like how to know how to sell solar, to understand how it works. That's what's going to increase solar adoption, is the better the reps can get at explaining it so people can stop feeling scammed or stop feeling, because it's just a lack of expectations, right? Like they're telling you'll never pay a light bill, but then you don't understand how to actually achieve that or if that's even fully possible in your market. So then people are just like, oh, solar is a scam. It's like, no, we just have to set the proper expectations. Reps got to understand that. I think AI is way far away from being able to adequately explain, hey, these are the different options and exactly how it's custom tailored to you.
Yeah, no, that's I completely agree. Like the rep has to be the professional. They're the one who like needs to learn and understand this stuff and somehow convey all of that to the customer. And that's, I think, why we're seeing so many people either, I think we've seen a lot of people leave the solar industry this year. We've already started to see people coming back, and even people who used to be in sales and they went to a different career have actually started to reach back out, and they're like, hey, I want to get into this. And we need those people. We need smart, educated, people who understand how this works and are truly professionals. You're not just slinging solar anymore. Like you are consulting a homeowner on making a massive investment into a home improvement facility that's going to power their home and help the grid in most cases, right? And so like we need to level up. We need to level up our people. And, I'm stoked that we've got leadership such as yourself who are bought in and see the value in doing things the right way, taking care of the customer, and just going out and grinding. I love your goal of 100 installs. So I guess it's already January.
Hey, gotta. We're only a few days into the
You
year.
got time. Okay.
I already got 2 installs that gone up. So
attaboy.
January 6th, we're 2 down, 98 to go.
All right. Well, cool. All right. So you've seen a lot. You've been around. You've talked to a lot of people. What would you say is like the biggest misconception around freedom? Because there's like, there's what we say in meetings, private or public, and then there's what everybody loves to, talk about online. And I get like, I hated the Kansas City Chiefs for several years. And before them, I hated the Patriots.
Yep.
You know, I don't know who the next team I'm going to hate is, but like it's easy to hate whoever's at the top.
Yep.
Like I get that. But what would you say is one of the bigger misconceptions from what you see out there?
There's a misconception that freedom like hides a lot of stuff, and that's just not true, right? Like from my previous position, being on more of the phone calls than just like a regular rep would be, to even like, you know, coming back and now it's like, yeah, I'm not on all like the divisional and VP calls or whatnot, kind of figuring out what that position looks like. But it's like, you guys are very forthright with like, hey, there's some stuff going on. We understand we've messed up. Like, I don't think you guys have ever tried to justify if a mistake has happened or if things have like been tough. You guys have been very forthright, like, hey, like this might be sucky news, but like this is where we're at, or this is what's happening. But then you guys give an explanation as to why. And maybe it's because I'm like learning this with my toddler now. Like, I don't just want to be like, because I'm the dad. And I said, so like, I want to, my wife's teaching me the whole, you know, gentle parenting, explain, but like giving a reason why. Like, this is why I'm telling you not to jump off the couch. Like, this is why we're telling you maybe there's been some branches that have closed, or maybe this is why timelines might be taking a little bit longer. But it's like, you guys aren't trying to sugarcoat things. You're telling us how it is. And I think there's a misconception of like, they're not telling you the full picture. They're hiding margin. It's like, no, you guys are running a business, and I feel like you actually tell, having been for a short period of time with other companies, like you guys tell a lot more than I think most do. Like, I feel like there's very tight lips around pay, around like panel shortages or timelines. It's very much like, don't say anything.
Yeah.
And then, so like that dichotomy is like, no, Freedom says way more than a lot of these other installers. I don't know what people are talking about.
Yeah, you know, I think it's a double-edged sword sometimes with how transparent we are. We are a privately held company, but we do believe in sharing as much of the information as we can so that people at least understand what's going on. You know, I always believe in, I hate making excuses, but I love offering explanations. At least people can understand why something is the way it is, right? And so, you know, people can say what they want, but at the end of the day, we're the most transparent company I've ever worked for. Brett is the most transparent leader I've ever worked with. And sometimes that's to our detriment, I guess. But, you know, we believe in sharing the truth. And even if it's not a good one, we just want people to be informed and to be aware, you know, like the margin thing. We have audited financials, and we've had audited financials since the day I got here. This is a third-party auditing firm that audits our financials every single year. So, you know, if there is extra margin, tell me where it is and we'll go use it so we can get some more domestic content. But yeah, anyway, that is one of our core principles as a business, is to be transparent, not just with our own, you know, our own employees, but with our sales partners and with the customers. Like everybody, the more informed we are, the more educated we are, the better things go, and the more successful this program and this mission is. So thank you for saying that. Big part of our ethos. All right, so Chase, thank you so much for coming in. I know you have your own podcast that you guys run. So tell us a little bit about your podcast. I hear you're starting that back up again. You're going into a new season. What is it, and where can we find it?
Yes, sir. So Alpha Anonymous season 2. We just recorded the first episode yesterday, coming back. So Spotify, Apple Podcasts. We're gonna start dropping that every week again. And yeah, it's a mix of, you know, top sales reps in the industry to, you know, like actual executives in the industry. I know you graced us coming on last year, which was really cool. I know we have had a few other, you know, C-level positions or VPs of different sales companies that have hopped on with us. But the whole goal of that is for maybe the everyday rep, you know, like, and I'll say it's been catered to the division. So first 5 minutes, we're going to review numbers of whatever like the Alpha division did. Yeah. Skip the first 5-10 minutes. And then you'll get to where like we want to hear whether it's like pro tips and tricks of like, hey man, like this is a guy who he just did 12 last week. Like, what are you saying? Something that can be applied across the industry. Or when the big beautiful bill was going down last year, or like some of the legal proceedings, you came on and were like, hey man, like let me give you some kind of firsthand insight to stuff that may not be as public. Like we want it to be a tool for solar reps anywhere to be able to like tune in and be able to relate, to be like, okay, here's a guy that's in my shoes. Like this isn't a guy that's necessarily been doing it for 10 years and has all this money and to sit behind a desk. It's like, here's a brand new setter who's been out for the first month and like got his teeth kicked in, but now is doing really well, like that type of thing. So yeah, I'll be running back this year and yeah, excited to see what happens in 2026, man.
That's awesome, man. Well, I appreciate you coming out. I appreciate what you do for the Alpha division and for the group overall. We need strong, solid leaders like you. So, let's go dominate 2026 together. Thank you for coming in and taking the time.
Yes, sir, man. Thanks for having me.
All right. His name is Chase Armstrong. He is the man. Make sure you guys subscribe to our channel, and we will see you on the next episode.